All right, here we go. It is PowerWorks podcast time, which means we're talking about cars. We're talking about the automotive industry. This is essential education about everything that is rolling stock.
I like it.
There we go.
I thought you were going to say Rolling Stones.
So welcome to everyone who's joining us both in audio format and YouTube. Got quite a YouTube audience, by the way. So take a look over the camera here. Hello.
The only the one camera.
The only the one. Oh yeah. Okay. So
you brought that up, not me.
Yeah. So coming in today, the question was, okay, we got everything. I've got all the gear, and got here and realized, oh no, I didn't bring any of the cameras. So we're now going with the backup camera.
I trimmed my facial fuzz this morning as well, expecting,
yeah.
Amy like storms into the shower. What are you shaving? Like I was manscaping.
Who doesn't manscape? Come on.
I haven't got one. I need to get one. Because, I mean, anyway.
Yeah. Manscaped.com. Go check it out. And future sponsors of the PowerWorks podcast. All the mechanics standing around with air tools and a manscaper. Oh, that is the classic ad.
We could do some good ads in the garage.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think we're going to do, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do this. And if you're not watching us on YouTube, you can find all of these podcasts video version. If you go to YouTube and just search The James Casts, C-A-S-T-S, The James Casts. And the beauty of that is I'm going to film a couple shorts when we leave here. So you get some content that you wouldn't always get. And it's just fun. And as I like to say, there's the long content. So you can watch these podcasts and listen to them in your car that way. Or get a little smile with some of the shorts that we do.
We're smile at me in my shorts. Well, I don't know anything about anything other than what I do as a job. So to be honest,
me neither.
It's quite an authentic podcast, to be fair.
Well, it's authentic because someone asked me the other day, "What do you know about cars?" Nothing. You do an automotive podcast? Yeah, I do. How many years have you been doing that? Years, like 12. They're doing 15 years. What do you know about cars? Nothing.
You see, you learn about it when it's relevant to you.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
exactly
how it is. I know about charcoal canisters because you've got one gone by a bungee cord on your one of your cars. It's the red one. Isn't it?
I did rope. I roped it up because I was. In fact, you want to know where I roped it up? At the car inspection. I noticed as they were putting it up, it was a little low. So I said, "Hold on a second." The guy helped me.
Hang on. So let me move that masking tape out your way.
Yeah. No, there was duct tape at one point, and I think it got.
Oh. It's quite a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that charcoal filter. I think I need a new one, actually. It was...
Well, at the point of it being hung on, yeah, you've probably got to that point. I don't know. I mean, I might get DJ in and ask DJ. He's qualified to answer that, but I'm guessing at the point of it being duct taped on, you probably, do.
Well, there was one point I was driving, and this was a couple years ago. I'm driving, and I hear this, and I'm thinking, oh, the car's just packed it in. I get out, and I see that thing hanging there, and I notice the clips are a little loose, so that's when the alternative fasteners came into play.
Alternative fasteners, a technical term.
You see?
Yeah, you got that from We Will Fix It podcast, didn't you? Yeah.
I find that the lingo from all of the podcasts is interchangeable. So I just start, changing through things. So you're talking to Dr. Jenna, you're talking about depacting. You can use depacting here in the garage.
That sounds painful.
Well, you got to go back and listen to some of the podcasts because Dr. Jenna talks about her early days as a resident and the fact that she's got very long fingers. Let the rest of that go for your mind.
And I'm guessing depacting is the opposite of compacting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just think you've had too much food.
I don't need to think
blocking
about
you up and you need some help. Anyway, this is an interesting day because we're going to talk EVs because you are finally getting to do a long-term test of an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
And I thought this is going to be fantastic because we talk about electrics. I had the hybrid that I drove in the summer, and this is going to be a great opportunity to get your initial view because you've just had it. And what I always find and why this becomes really cool is because the initial view often changes through the long-term drive. So the initial view might not be the end view as you get used to it and as you start driving it. And I've always got some great examples of car tests that I've done in the past. And, the initial first couple of days, oh, this is the best car in the world. And then at the end of the week, someone says, why aren't you driving that car? And I'm driving my own car. It's like, yeah, well, it was fun at the start and it was no longer fun at the end.
Yeah.
So, so I think this is going to be a lot of fun. What are you driving?
Well, look, it's as we record, it's the 11th of November, Remembrance Day for the end of World War I in the UK and Europe.
Canada was also a huge contributor.
North America still.
Yeah.
I mean, the Americans were late, but that is what it is.
Canadians were right there.
Yeah, we know. We know all about it. We know who to trust and rely
Vimy
on.
Ridge.
But, so as we're recording, it's the 11th of November, and I have till the end of the year, till the 30th of December, I've got the ID-6 by Volkswagen. And it came about because I needed 6 seats for the Christmas period, because Amy's mum and dad are coming over, my in-laws. So we need 6 seats. This fly's doing me head in. Where's Mitch? So I spoke to a good acquaintance who runs a leasing company, multi-brand. They're not specific on a brand, and he said, "I've got some 6-seat ID6s, but I can't promise you they'll be available when you need them."
Okay.
So we had a chat, worked out a price, helped me out a little bit, helped me out a lot in the end. And I've got it I picked it up Monday, I think it was, or Tuesday.
Yeah.
From the limited exposure to the EVs that we've had, and obviously it's maybe a dozen that have come through that we've worked on, always been quite impressed. Effortless torque, power.
They look nice. They also look nice.
They're quiet. It's a nice place to be in. Everything's new in them. Yeah. Everything seems very new, and it is. And they're always... Okay, cool, I get it. But I've never been less convinced.
Really? This is now. Because if you've been listening to this podcast, which you have, we've fluctuated. We've kind of vacillated back and forth. And then recently, although we're always hydrogen, we're always pro hydrogen, but recently it's been, hey, you know what? This hybrid option or these electric options, this might really be cool. But there are still challenges.
Yeah, I think, like you just said, we've always been hydrogen is the way to go.
Yeah, there's no question.
Yeah. And I have a massive problem with hybrid cars in the fact that once that hybrid battery is done, you still can't use the internal combustion, which makes zero sense to me.
And you had that Porsche that was 70,000 dirham replacement of batteries.
You got stuck in the bayou and with the same issue in the Ford, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah.
So I'm very much no, hybrid's not the way. Like TVs, like the idea of them, thought perhaps, freight may be an option, not for heavy vehicles on the road. EVs might work because they're parked for long extended periods and driving for long extended periods. Yeah. So charging becomes less of a problem for them. But it's just the little things. So the car...
I'm going to pause you for a second. And this is always the problem, is...
Stuff you take for granted.
The core of the vehicle, any vehicle you're going to buy, whether it is the most inexpensive car on the planet or the most expensive, the core functionality is always pretty much the same. It's the little tiny details that are going to differentiate. And you might say, well, what do you mean by that? And I say, leather dash versus plastic dash. The array of instrumentation and the amount of information you're going to get versus the lack of information or array. The electronic versus the analog things that you're going to have, the switching, it's the little things that make the big difference. And this increasingly, as you're going to talk to us about, is part of the challenge with electric vehicles and the newer vehicles that are coming out.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a VW. If I was going to do it, I was going to do it VW, weren't I? Obviously. Right. Anyone that's listened to this for more than 3 seconds has heard me rave on about VW. So I was always going to go for it. And straight away, I like how it looks inside and outside. Very, very good. Really good. A lot of the breed is still apparent. Now, how much of that was an economic decision and how much was just because they wanted to keep it, I don't know. I guess it's economics.
I'm thinking you know what? I'm going to be the pessimist here, or not the pessimist. I'm going to be the optimist and say, while as you're saying, there's an economic thing in sharing parts, etc. It's within their DNA going from every vehicle. Yeah. There's a logical transition, a logical familiarity. Yeah. And so if I'm going from a Golf R to an ID6, it's a whole different vehicle, but I want to have some of the same.
Yeah. So the everything you come into contact with in the car is VW. You can tell. Like you don't need the logo.
You get into a
know.
VW, you know.
The steering wheels are
the
VW. The
seats
seats feel and look, although they've got quite a cool design on them, and they're slightly different. Everything screams VW. It's very, very well built. Really, really well built.
Which you would expect.
Now, I suppose we need to put some context here. This is not a vehicle available from the local importer here. This is imported from China and sold outside of the dealership.
I saw a whole bunch coming from Japan as well.
Right, okay. Well, this one's Chinese because everything screams in Chinese when you turn it on.
Okay.
So it doesn't have the full connectivity. So I can't connect my Samsung phone. CarPlay still works, but I can't do Android Connect or whatever it's called because I can't connect to it. You can buy, if you had a Chinese SIM card with a Chinese postpaid plan, you can connect it. I can't hotspot it. The only way to connect it is through a Chinese SIM. So that won't be a problem for anyone else. And that's not really a problem for me, but it limits some of the functions. Yeah. So, for example, I can't go through and set the AC to come on for 10 minutes before I get in the car every day and all that sort of stuff, which,
honestly, from an electric vehicle, when you think about it, then summer or winter,
they're big things.
You put the heat on, put the AC on, so you get into the car and the AC's already going. You get in with the kids, and it's like, oh, this is beautiful.
This car, my first thing about it is, it looks about like a VW in it, and it feels like one. Yeah. But when you get in it, too many things have been changed unnecessarily.
And this is that. Why? And I guess give us the examples.
The gear lever, which effectively isn't a gear lever, but it's a gear lever. It's just like just a twist thing on the end of the dash cluster surround that you turn it forward to twist it from the top forward to go forwards, and then top backwards to go reverse. Why? Yeah, like it's just like it's kind of that didn't need to be like that. You could have just had a button, or you could have just kept a normal sort of feel, a gear lever or whatever. It just seemed to be changes for the sake of changes. Okay, and that's how it's
like going back to the 1965 Parisienne, and it used to have buttons on the dash to put it, drive, reverse. It was weird, but
I mean,
cool.
In the 30s and 40s, the Edsel used to have push buttons on the steering wheel to change the gears. It's like, geez, nearly 100 years later, and we're still fanning around with it. But it just seemed like a change for the sake of a change.
Okay, and maybe that's it. They're trying to free up more cabin space by, I don't know. Weird.
But because it's electronic, and because everything else on all vehicles that they make are fly-by-wire, there's no direct real connections anymore.
So they didn't.
They could have done that on the petrol, but they don't, and the diesel they don't.
Right. That's weird.
So anyway, they're separating them. Fair enough. No problem. Right. So this is the new direction they're going. That's fine. Driving it's great. It's quiet. Obviously, it's torquey because it's electric motor and it's available straight away.
Dual motor or single motor?
Single.
Okay.
But it's good. It's got all the tech you want. 360 camera. Everything that you'd expect.
Yeah.
6 seats. The back seats,
legitimately 6 seats.
The back seats are like a bench seat.
Okay.
That you can fold away.
Yeah.
And
kind of like the old Pajeros there.
Yeah. The middle two are captain seats.
Right.
And then the back two, kind of like the old Pajero. But if I sat in one of the middle seats, no one could sit behind me.
Right. Yeah, they're done for. Okay.
Yeah. So they do adjust. But if I sat there, no one would be able to sit behind me. So that's a bit unfortunate. But the day-to-day with the car.
Yeah.
Now, I've hired this car. I don't own an electric vehicle. I'm not ever going to buy one, I don't think, based on this and what we'll get to. So I don't have a charge point at my house. I've just got an outdoor plug socket, weatherproof plug socket in the carport.
That's a big problem.
So it comes with a 13 amp plug charging system, and you have an option on the charger that comes with the vehicle for 8, 15, 20 and 30 amps that you can charge it at. Obviously, you can only do 8 through a 13 amp socket. So select it on 8. You've got to charge the vehicle through that every single night. Now, I got about 18% charge in 10 hours.
That's not good.
Through that, which isn't good.
No.
And
a lot of where you're charging it right now, just outside, because every time you stop, basically you got to get this thing on charge.
Yeah, I am doing, because I've got 2 kids in school.
Yeah.
The schedule does not exist. Beyond picking them up and dropping them off, everything outside of that is fair game to anybody. Like, I could get there and get told she's going on a play date.
Yeah.
I could get there and get told, oh, she's got to go to the doctor.
So I'm just trying to imagine this just for a second. If you don't have the supercharger at home, suddenly anywhere you're going, in the back of your mind, as you're looking at the dash and you're looking at, okay, I've got 50% charge, knowing that you're only going to get maybe 20% overnight, everywhere you're parking, you want to plug in.
Yeah.
You go to someone's house, you got to have an extension cord in the back. Hey, can I plug into your place?
The reason for this is the temperature. 100%. And that's why VW haven't sold them here yet. Definitely. They've never made a press release on that.
Yeah.
There'll be internal knowledge of it, but this is definitely temperature. I plug that in and instantly the fans come on to cool it.
Really?
Instantly. The battery's too hot. As soon as you're driving, it's getting hot. Yeah. Anyone that's used their phone, if you use your phone, and you're not supposed to do this, and that's why charge cables are so short, but if you use your phone while it's plugged in, how hot does it get?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll plug it in on charge overnight, like most people probably do, and I'll be listening to a podcast or something to fall asleep. I did that all through the summer when Amy and the kids weren't here. And you wake up to turn it off when you've drifted off, and it's red hot.
Yeah.
So the heat increases resistance, which causes more effort.
Yeah.
And so you use so much more electricity because of the heat.
And the fans that are coming on to cool the battery, they're consuming the
they're on the 12-volt system, but the 12-volt system is replenished by the main battery.
Yeah.
So temperature's not going to be helpful to these cars at all. Now, we've known that always, but I see it now.
So this must also translate over to all the electric cars out here. Like, they're all...
Yeah. So I sent you a video yesterday.
Yeah, you did. You've sent me a few videos, and that's what's provoked our conversation now.
I charged it overnight, and I think I got to 66%.
Yeah.
And in the time I drove, I didn't make it. There's no clock on the car unless it's turned off. You've got no trip counter. I don't know if it's because it's not connected and I can't get into the settings properly because it's Chinese, but there's no trip counter.
Oh, man.
I know that sounds stupid, but there isn't a trip counter.
You want a trip counter. But I'm telling you right now, anxiety-wise, if I got into that car first thing in the morning and I'm going to drive my kids to school and then go to work and then pick them up and then do a play date and then go out and then there's the random stuff in between, and I know that I'm using up precious electricity, I would have such anxiety about this vehicle.
One of the real-world issues with it is, like I say, 66% when I left yesterday morning, and it had gone from, I don't know, it was like 49 or something the night before. Been on charge all night. So obviously when I went out to it that morning to leave, and this is a real thing as well, I've got to unplug that and then put that back in the back of the car.
Right.
Because I need to then plug it in when I get back to work, because I need more range.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds stupid, but that 3-4 minutes of doing that is a problem in the morning when you're rushing to
you got kids, you got bags, you got lunches.
7 and a 4-year-old out of the school, out of the house to get to school on time, not knowing what the traffic's got in store for you.
Yeah. And the other thing that's now going through my mind is, okay, every time you're stopping somewhere, you're coming to work, you're anywhere you're going to spend time. If you're in the mall, you're going to now be looking for an electrical charge, supercharge. We'll get to that in a sec. But what becomes even more interesting is, what kind of testing have they done for how many times can I put it in, put it out, put it in, put it out, put it in, put it out? And then you've got just like charging cables.
And then I'm done.
Charging cables. You've got all sorts of issues with just wear and tear. And of course, this is much larger cable, but still it's being manhandled. How long is that going to last?
That's genuinely a concern. I mean, we'll go out and have a look at it when we're done recording and do a video, but so I've gone out to it having been charged overnight, and it's not turned off because it's still not full. Now, you can set the battery to charge only to 80%. They recommend not charging it to 100% unless you're going on an extremely long trip to prevent it getting too overly charged.
And life of the battery.
I get it. We've had mobile phones with this issue. The
the
Note 7 and all that nonsense of people's legs setting on fire. People have known ever since then. And the Dreamliner.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite Note, by the way. Anyway, the Dreamliner.
The Dreamliner as well, with all these lithium-ion batteries. So we all know about them now, right? Yeah. It's almost like these things happen for the sake of telling us about them. But anyway, we know about it. So I'm only going to get it to 80%. I get it to 66. I go a normal distance of whatever it is to school and work, which everybody does.
Yeah.
That have as kids.
Yeah, but you're coming from a rather congested route.
Yeah, but I didn't. I missed the traffic on this.
Oh no, really?
Going to Jebel Ali from where I live is zero traffic.
Oh, nice.
On the 611.
Okay.
And then from there to here at this time of day,
All right.
again, no traffic.
Yeah, nice.
So and
we are coming to you, by the way, from the Powerworks garage, if you're wondering what's going on.
40 minutes of driving.
Yeah. And how much did you use?
14%.
I mean, my heart would be palpitating.
I can only get 17 overnight.
Yeah, I know.
So then I'm thinking,
yeah, I'd be hooked up to a high blood pressure cup
if
here.
I owned the car, it's 170,000 dirhams to buy the same car now.
Yeah,
from a third party dealer. If I owned the car, I'd probably invest in a charger at home. Well, you'd have to. It's not possible. I know now it's not possible without it. So I get it. My moan here is unrealistic, but
no, not it. But
I haven't got 170k for the car.
How much does
I haven't got money to put the charger in, and you need a permission from the utility supplier.
DIWA, yeah, and there's got to be a charge for that.
And the landlord, because I rent my house, needs to say, okay, you can dig the pavement up and put that in.
Yeah.
And what if I don't live in a building? What if I don't live in a house? I live in a building.
Yeah.
And what if you live in a building?
In the garage,
extension. In the UK, VW did a study in the UK when EVs were coming out. I remember the first one we were going to get was the GTE, which was going to be a fully electric, which is basically electric GTI. And their study was that I think it was something like 75% of their customers that would be buying this car had off ground, so on road parking.
What do they do? Well,
it's illegal in the UK.
So Montreal, you know what they
cord over the footpath.
So Montreal, in the winter, because you get so much snow and you get people who have block heaters, you'll have extension cords running from people's balconies. You'll have a couple 2x4s that are raising it up over the sidewalk so that the snow removal guys don't take it out, and then it hits to where your car is.
You see, that's illegal in the UK.
Yeah, I think it's illegal in Montreal as well. They still do it.
Yeah, but you know.
Those people are doomed.
That's a problem, right? Yeah. And then as another example, if I get a call and I'm whatever, I don't want to get it, obviously. But if I get a call from the school, one of my kids has been in trouble or they've had an accident or they're not feeling well and I need to go and immediately pick them up.
Yeah.
I've got to unplug it, put the cable back in the back.
3 minutes.
Get to the school, not know what I'm faced with.
And you're looking at the charge.
Then I've got to take them somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe to the doctor, maybe to whatever.
Hopefully they have a supercharger out front.
So I get to the doctor's at 33% battery, and do I just rush in or do I look for a supercharger?
Yeah, exactly. Someone's house who's got one sitting there, and can I plug in, please?
So, now, the charge rate on this properly with a proper VW, and they work through the Tesla one's charger, is quite good.
It uses a Tesla charger, so you can, when you get to the mall, you get to... Okay,
so
nice.
they can work together, but the charge rate is quite quick.
Right. Do you have any idea?
But I'm not ready. No, I can't remember what he told me. The guy told me when I took it from him. But
no problem. You'll test it out eventually. The next time we do one of these.
So by the next podcast we'll know. But if I want to go, let's say I want to go to Fujairah at the weekend, I'm going to make it on a charge, but I don't know what I'm going to be faced with when I get there for charging. You go to a decent hotel, they're going to valet it.
Right.
How do you ask them to plug it in? Do they know? Are they okay doing that? So, real world at the moment, I've never been so unsure in my life about them. I say, we've been back and forth and it's always been hydrogen and I get it, but it feels different, and it is. I get it, it's different. You know, a car was different to a horse and cart. So, of course, the carriage in a horse and cart and the cabin in a car is different, and an electric vehicle is different to an internal combustion engine. Yeah. But the same people are driving them.
You're not supposed to have anxiety when you're driving a car.
No, I kind of look.
It's bad enough that this is a classic one because this wouldn't happen. Well, opens up a whole new realm with electric vehicles. I saw someone yesterday who was pulled over to the side of the road because they ran out of fuel. They already had the Jiffy can in the back. They were in a really bad position because they were in the middle lanes, and you could see the service station. They're coming on the Al Ain Road, coming down towards Dubai, and you could see the service station on the right by Silicon, but they were in the middle. And I could see the guys looking, and they're looking at it. They've got the can because clearly they run out of gas a lot, and there's no way to get to it without getting killed because you've got to go up an embankment over. Yeah. And what happens if you're down to 33%, and then you go out and you then
can't
suddenly
get a can of electricity? Can you?
What happens? What do you do? You end up calling a tow truck to take you home and drop it and hook you up, or to me this becomes a real I mean, the multiple levels of anxiety.
No, I mean, I've waffled a little bit going through this review.
It's because it's the initial thoughts. We'll have the full review.
I'm going to make some notes on it because there's a lot to unpack. Like, the kids absolutely love it.
What do they love about it?
The captain's chairs.
Okay.
They've got their own chair. They're still in car seats, but they've got their own chair. You can change all the ambient lights in the car, and it's got all the sort of mobile phone
which
touches.
is what we love. Lots of USB connectors.
Not looked in the back. Probably it's USB-C only in the front.
Okay, nice.
But
nice.
that's cool because everybody's phone charges USB.
And
wireless charging is good. And my phone, which is a 22, fit an Ultra, so it's quite a big fit. With the case on it, fits.
Wow, nice.
It gets really hot.
Of course.
And I don't plug it in because I'm watching the battery go down on the car. But it gets really hot.
Yeah.
But it works. That's not to do with the car. That's just they all do.
Yeah.
I think if you've got a charger in your house, and you know that your schedule is not fluid. Like, my schedule is fluid.
Yeah.
I know. Now, I'm only driving it now. Amy's gonna drive it.
Yeah.
But I'm driving it now because she wants to go out with me and see. It feels and looks so different that Amy, who's been driving for 14 years,
is apprehensive.
He's apprehensive.
Yeah, this is big.
She's like, I want to go out with you on the weekend and I'll drive it and make sure everything's okay. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right. And so she wants to, so next, she'll be driving it after that. It's fine. No problem. I'm not driving it. And her schedule is fixed unless something happens to me.
And she's out of school, so they must have chargers
she drives
at school.
To school. No, because they're doing construction and there's no car park now.
Oh, man.
So she drives to school and she drives back from school.
Yeah.
So her schedule's pretty fixed. So that'll be a better test to understand.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's a family car. It's a 6-seat family car. Most people with a 6-seater car don't have a fixed schedule because they've got kids, young kids, right?
Yeah.
My schedule isn't fit with my job, obviously, but also with knowing that I'm responsible for getting them there, getting them home, and anything in between.
So at this point, this is just an initial conversation because you haven't had it very long. Where are you on the fence? Are you like, you're kind of
definitely completely illogical to have a family car as an EV.
Okay.
Somebody that's a professional.
Illogical.
Yeah. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Somebody that's a professional that's got a car that, 2-door or a 4-5-seater normal car as an EV that's going to work and going home, or going to work, to the gym and home the same every day, is buying it and going to put a charger in the house. You probably only charge it twice a week.
Yeah.
100% go for it. So an ID4, an ID3, the smaller ones. But an ID6 makes no sense.
Mm.
And I also wonder, and the charging network is pretty good here, but it's not the best.
Yeah.
But if you were to say, like, we still talk about it, we're gonna get an RV or something and drive across America on Route 66. We're gonna do it.
You got it.
Right?
You got it.
So I'd love to do it in a VW, but we can't do it in an ID Buzz because what's the charge network like?
Yeah.
When you're on a long straight road across America and you think, I've got 100 miles till the next, and you have 500 kilometers on there on a full charge. When I picked it up, they'd full charged it, and it was 500 kilometers on it, 490 something. I didn't get 200 kilometers out of it before it went to 300 because the more I'm driving, the more I'm in traffic. It's getting hot.
Yeah,
I'm obviously checking all the functions of everything, seeing what the power's like, seeing how it drives, everything else. I didn't get 200 kilometers out when it went to 200 because the battery's getting so hot and it was the middle of the day.
Yeah.
500 kilometers on a cold morning, as opposed to 500 kilometers in the middle of the day. Two different things. Completely different things. Once that battery starts to warm up, no chance. Now, there are fans, radiators, coolant pumps,
right.
everything on there to try and keep everything cool.
But
you can't cool the battery.
Okay.
These are cooling the motor.
I'm looking forward to, in a couple weeks' time, having another chat about this vehicle.
I don't think I'll come round to the fact that
I'm optimistic that you're gonna come around.
I don't believe a family. This is effectively an MPV. Makes sense as an EV because you are too reliant on being able to just get up and go.
Yeah.
And if I'd brought a car, internal combustion engine, and let's say it's a normal day for me today, and I've turned up, it's Friday, I've got the podcast, and I thought, well, I better not go to the petrol station on the way, I'll come in and the light's on.
Yeah.
If I get a phone call from school, it's another 5 or 10 minutes to get there if I have to put petrol in on the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
But if I need to charge the EV,
Yeah.
well, I can't.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm lucky, right? Because I can go and get in the van now.
You know what?
But
This
I
is an interesting one. And it goes with your EV. I was just thinking, because they've put a new gas station by my house. Game changer because of where it's located. It's
on
just
the right side.
Super convenient. And they're putting a Burger King in. So I'm all excited. Like every time we go by, it's like, oh, we're working. My wife looks at me the other day. She goes, when's the last time you had a Whopper? When's the last time you ate Burger King? I said 15, 20 years. She goes, so you're never going to go there and eat it? I go, probably not. But if I do want one, it's there.
It's there, yeah.
And all that I'm really curious about is it's right behind a whole bunch of houses. So open 24 hours a day, broiling up flame broil Whoppers. I'm just thinking, what's it going to smell like? And I'm thinking my morning run, I'm going to smell Whoppers.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking they're going to be really upset, the people who live behind it, because they're going to go out and have some, shish taouk or, a little bit of lamb chops on the barbecue, and they're going to be smelling Whoppers too. So, but the whole point of this bringing this up is every time I go by this petrol station, I don't think there's any EV chargers at it. None. Like I haven't taken a good look because I haven't gone around the back where they have the car wash and the oil change stuff. But I don't see any signs for EV charging there.
Listen, DWO is a utilities provider in Dubai. Initially put EV charging for free. You pay for it now. I think it's six dirhams per kilowatt hour or something. I might have got that wrong, but whatever it is, it's whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, they did a good job. You could use them all the DWO office buildings and all the shopping malls. They were for free.
Yeah.
That started to change now with Tesla putting their own in, and like I say, VW and Tesla partnered up, and there's a VW network.
Which that's kind of nice.
And from what I understand, in North America, it's pretty good. The network's pretty good.
Even in Canada, when I was driving around, there was a lot.
Yeah, it's getting better. Right.
There's one mall that had 25 Tesla charging stations.
Yeah,
and then a few non-Tesla. And I remember in the summer when, peak season, they were all being used.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, right? That's not a lot, is it?
No. So that in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, it's great because you go to the mall and now I'm going to go do a little shopping. I'm going to get charged for an hour and go and get something and then come out and leave. But I saw people were rocking up and looking and going, well, I can't charge my car.
Yeah.
So, but we need more.
We do. We do need more. Audi have got the wireless charging. Now, I said to DJ yesterday, just a pad that you drive over. So the e-tron you can wirelessly charge. I mean, I don't know what it costs to buy that pad from Audi. It's going to be an absolute fortune, right? But if I had a pad on the drive that I could just drive over happy days, who cares?
Yeah. Imagine.
No problem. You know what I mean? Like even whatever.
But
I just don't think it makes sense as a family car. I just don't think. And
so that, I think that's the key. That's what I'm looking to hear you change your mind.
Yeah, that changes at the point of them getting 1,000 kilometers out of the same size battery, which I'm led to believe is possible. Right, the batteries are supposed to be getting better and charge times quicker and stuff. But
that's a whole other reason, and this is something that also sticks in my mind when you think about the first mobile phones. You think about first sets of computers. When you look at the amount of storage and battery life, et cetera, we're looking at first gen. And in some cases,
effectively, yeah.
I mean, the batteries have gone through generations of development already to get to where they are to be dubbed first gen. It's almost like when a brand new car comes out and you say, "Oh, I'm going to buy this." They're going to get through all the kinks. I'm going to buy the next generation of it, or the next.
But the thing is, batteries can get as good as they want, but they're still made out of conflict materials.
Yeah, and this is a problem.
And if somebody came up and said, "Oh, well, actually, just like we can make silicon memory chips out of sand, we can make batteries out of sand." Fantastic, great.
Yeah.
But guess what? It's not happening.
No. And so this is two things that I had students actually talking about in class the other day. And one of them was battery materials, that a lot of those precious metals and things are coming from conflict zones. So you're in a sense supporting conflict.
And if they're not conflict zones yet, they will be.
Yeah. And then the second thing that, my students were talking about this. They were saying, they obviously listen to our podcast. They're saying, well, it's dirty electricity we're using.
Yeah.
And so it's great we're using electricity, but we're just passing the carbon emissions onto DWA, who's generating the electricity, and they're doing it through natural gas.
On the electricity side of it, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, James.
Okay. Yeah.
Elon Musk just bought Twitter.
Yeah.
$44 billion.
Yeah.
He did so with a Saudi and Qatari investment fund, right?
Yeah.
What do they do to make their money?
Exactly. Yeah.
They sell fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Elon Musk has just drawn back all of his solar panel roll out in the US.
Yeah.
We use fossil fuels to make electricity. We use solar panels to make electricity. He gets $44 billion from someone who makes money from fossil fuels, and now he stops doing solar.
Yeah. What's that telling you? Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're in a real bad situation at the minute.
Yeah.
And it
look,
was
it's a sad reality is our fossil fuel industries, and look, it's an industry has been going for a long time, and it's very profitable because they figured out how to maximize revenue generation because of the consumption that's necessary. And things like solar and wind and tidal flows and stuff, that's expensive stuff.
It is, but
long term.
I was watching, Sado, but I was watching, just because it's funny, Prime Minister's Questions in the UK, right? I watched it yesterday. It happens on Wednesdays.
That's why I miss Boris.
I watched it yesterday. I know.
I miss that guy. Well,
I know. But I watched it yesterday from Wednesday, and one of the questions from the absolute waste of space on the opposition, Keir Starmer, was a fair question to the former Chancellor and now Prime Minister. What are you going to do about Shell's £26 billion profit? They've made £26 billion. They've paid no tax.
Yeah. That's just one company.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I've got no problem with businesses making money. Hello, I own a business.
Yeah.
But the people that have a problem with them making money don't have a problem with the money per se.
No.
A lot of them have a problem with they've made it from selling stuff that's killing the planet.
Yeah.
Now, if Shell said, we're going to put 20 of that £26 billion profit, this is, by the way, this isn't operational income, this is profit. We're going to put £20 billion of that into top universities, schools, and whatever else research institutions so that we can make the UK self-sufficient for electricity. But we're going to manage it, and we are going to charge you, and we are going to make our money from that. The people of the UK will be happy if they made £200 billion off their back in profit, because they'd be getting clean energy. The money have gone into the economy anyway, and the money they're making isn't from selling oil and damaging the environment from spills in the reef.
Well, that's the other side.
Let alone the carbon emissions.
We're thinking CO2 emissions. Think of the other stuff.
It's it's the direct issue of drilling that causes a lot of the damage.
The piping of it, the spillage, the bilge from the ships, and it's. But we don't talk about that
nobody's
stuff.
going to have a problem, and to the point where the world is in such a mess now. It's in everyone's best interest for everyone to say, "All right, I'm not going to get involved in hydrogen and nuclear and all this. Just let the people that they're energy companies. They've already changed the name to energy. Total Oil is now Total Energy.
Yeah."
Let them deal with it, because they can and they've got the money to, and we'll still pay you. Don't worry. Don't lobby the government to keep killing the planet. You keep doing it, and we'll leave you to it. And what reasonable person is not going to be of that mindset, because it just solves a problem?
Well, here's also the argument that we hear a lot, and you'll see where it's going. But people say, "Oh, it's too much. It's too high." And all the excuses. We had a pandemic.
Yeah,
we flipped overnight from working in buildings, going to school in buildings. We flipped overnight to doing it all online.
Yep.
Rapid, immediate change. Was it uncomfortable? Absolutely. Is it uncomfortable now? Back to Mr. Elon Musk. He sends a letter over to all the Twitter employees. You guys are all coming back to work. And like now.
Yeah.
Like enough of this working at home, because we switched overnight, and hold on, there's a lot of benefits to this stuff that we would never have done before. Now we've switched, and people are liking it. And they're going, "Oh, I never would have done this if I hadn't been pushed." We've got another big push right here with our environment and all of the ancillary pieces that go with the different industries that are toxic to us. And people often say, "Oh, come on, James, you're a little bit fanatical." I said, it's like a bathtub. Our environment's a bathtub. So you have a bath in the morning, then your wife has a bath in the morning, then your kids have a bath, then you wash the dishes in the bath, then have a pee in there too. And now come back and wash more dishes, and that's the environment. And okay, we're going to strain it, and we're going to do a little bit of this and that. We're going to throw in some chlorine, but then you're going to get back into it, and we're still and you're going to drink that water too. And that's our environment, and we need and it's so what I come back to is we can make this immediate shift. Is it going to hurt? Absolutely. Are we going to like it? Probably not at first, but very quickly we will adapt.
Yeah.
And then we're going to, once we've adapted, give it a, that's not going to take long. Once we've adapted, people are going to go, why didn't we do this earlier? And,
there's a lot of people making a lot of money out of energy, and I don't see why they can't just be left alone to solve the problem, and it makes so much sense to me as, look, all these absolute whoppers that are going and gluing themselves to find pieces of art and throwing milk on supermarket floors. What are you doing?
Come on. Yeah.
Like, you're not helping your own cause.
Yeah.
And you just, not that I necessarily believe in the cause that they've got anyway. I'm just saying if I did, I'd be a bit embarrassed and think, this is fanatical. This is ridiculous. We're talking about it, so I guess they kind of think they're getting what they want, but we're not talking about it in a favourable way.
No,
we're not talking about the issue at hand.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And I just think that, as I say, that I've always thought Elon Musk was a good, he was an agent for change, and I think he's been all too easily.
He is an agent for change, but
consumed by the day to day. Well, ultimately, I need money to do what I'm doing, and he's
a businessman. At the end of the day, he is a businessman, and at the end of the day, and he does a lot of good along the way. But at the end of the day, he just wants to make more money.
Yeah.
And someone might say, yeah, but he's got all the money he needs. He does. But ever meet someone who's got a lot of cash? The stingiest people I've ever met are the people who have a lot of cash. Yeah. And their mind is constantly set on making more cash.
Yeah, it's just a shame when it comes to it's a shame when it comes to what we talk about in terms of cars, because
look, I look at Elon Musk and I say, okay, dude, and if I've met him, I'd say, dude, come on. I say, you want the model to follow as the world's richest man? Go look at Bill Gates. He's still making loads of cash, but what's the guy doing? Malaria, hunger, Africa. That's his life now. Yeah. He's making lots of cash, but he's doing what he needs to do.
Yeah.
And dude, Mr. Musk, now it's your turn. So now keep making your cash.
I genuinely think he doesn't care because he knows he's going to Mars.
I'm out of here.
He's going to go to Mars with a couple of nukes, and he's going to nuke the poles to make an atmosphere, and he's going to be there for as long as he's there.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But, I mean, one last thing on the ID6, which I have to say I do like.
Okay.
Which nearly caught me out. So we get home with it the first night.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, I'm not expecting Amy's... apprehension. Yeah, I'm not expecting to say I don't want to drive it till I've driven it with you and stuff. And obviously we can't go out in the night in it because the kids are in bed and there's no one to look after them.
Yeah.
So I'll get everything ready for her coming home. She's going to take it. So I get the charger out, plug it in, make sure it all works and charges, checking on the screen, it's charging. And I'm like, 17 hours? What? And it's like trying to download a song in the 90s off the internet. But I'm like looking at
dial-up. You've got a dial-up charger.
Yeah. So I'm like having to crank an handle on the back of it. But I'm like looking at it and okay, cool, right. So turn it off. The light on the side that says it's charging went from green to red.
Yeah.
Does red mean a problem or what? There's a button on the top of it.
Yeah.
Oh no, it won't come out. To the point where I'm thinking,
bolt cutters.
Now what? I'm going to put the wire off it. What do I do here?
Yeah.
So I'm like, manual. Guess they went Chinese. I don't read Chinese. I don't even know what type of Chinese it was, so I'm sorry for being so...
Yeah.
But I don't know what it was in the Chinese language.
Is it Cantonese?
Whatever it was in, I don't read it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, So then I'm thinking, well, look for the pictures. This thing's like that.
Yeah.
Look for the pictures. It might be all self-explanatory. No, I'm done. I can't. Okay.
Google.
ID6 connecting charger. Go through it. Done. And then there's nothing really mentioned. And then just slipped in at the end is on the disconnect. Don't mention it, but there's a picture of the guy pressing the unlock key on the remote. And you have to unlock you have to press unlock. Once it's charged, it locks the charger and you have to unlock it. And then you hear it wind down. Now, for me, that's good because anyone that's going to have to charge their car doesn't want little knobheads going around and pulling the plug
which
out.
They would. They're going to do it.
I would. When I was 13, 14, I was that guy.
Sure, we're going to get this guy.
Real funny.
Yeah,
I was that kid.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea. But also, what it also does is it means that you're not going to be able to disconnect it unless the power's off.
Right.
you can't turn the power off. You can't have the power on and unlock it because it won't unlock it.
Okay.
You have to have the power
Good.
off, unlocked,
Good.
and it'll come out.
Yeah, nice.
So that was
safety
a good,
feature.
and that's something they've thought
Yeah.
about.
Rainy day, power's on, you take it off, falls in a puddle, you gets electrocuted.
We don't have the network for it here, but it also has DC charge as an
Oh,
option, not
nice.
AC. So yeah,
be
there's
nice.
there's no network for that here, and I don't have the charging cable
that
for
would
it.
be
Even if we did,
nice.
but
That would be nice.
That would obviously help with charging. But yeah, the car is fantastic. And if I knew that every morning I got in it, it'd be 100%, and every time I got in it, it'd be 100%, I'd not have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But the actual day-to-day practicalities of it make no sense in that size vehicle.
Okay. So we'll look forward to a follow-up to this review.
Yeah.
As you've had a longer, real quick one, 2023 Accord. And there's a lot of talk. Car and Driver and others are saying, man, this is a sweet. It's maybe the nicest looking Honda Accord they've ever made.
My granddad's favorite ever car.
Yeah. And there was a whole period where Imtishan Gatto and Shahzad Sheikh, Brown Car Guy, if you're not following the Brown Car Guy, get on his stuff, where they were really, really unhappy with Honda. Both of them driving Hondas at the time because of the lack of design thought. So anyway, 2023 Honda Accord is back, apparently. I'm looking at it, and I'm going, it's a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
It's a Volkswagen CC.
The Honda Arteon, yeah.
It's a CC. I mean, and I thought, okay, maybe it's just me. So then I blow up a few pictures and I actually attached them in our notes.
Yeah.
It's a CC.
Yeah.
They've just, wow.
Thanks again, wind tunnels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even from the back, I thought, okay, but the back will be.
No, the lights are actually very, very Passat.
Isn't it?
Very, very Passat.
I didn't. Is Honda and VW hooked up? Or like?
Definitely not. No, well, most certainly not. No.
So I'm looking at that and I'm going, the nice thing is I really loved the CC and then they just stopped making them, right? And so it's kind of like, here we go.
The saloon car is dead, isn't it?
Yeah. So that was an interesting one. The other interesting one was I saw a Jeep Grand Cherokee yesterday.
Yeah.
And brand new. So you don't see too many new vehicles these days.
Is it the XL one?
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was huge. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, hold on a second. What am I looking at here? Because I see it's a Jeep. You can't miss it. It's got the badge on the back. But I've also attached a picture in our notes here. Looks to me like a Ford Explorer.
Again.
I mean, not just a little bit. I mean, it's a Ford Explorer.
Yeah.
And it's the bonnet, the hood on the front was the piece actually that really sealed it for me, because I was like almost, we basically put hands out the window and shook hands almost. That's how close I was. The hood seems to have the same ridge marks on it. It's like,
See,
and I'm thinking,
I liked about the Jeep Grand Cherokee was it always, even if it wasn't the SRT, it always looked quite muscular.
Yes.
Like there was bulges and vents, and this is very boxy.
It is.
And if you take the picture you've attached is a white one with a black roof, basically.
Yeah.
It's very sort of Chinese GAC or whatever it's called brand, where they I mean, I've been seeing a lot of the Jeep Grand Cherokee XLs on the road at the minute, which is obviously a Dodge Durango with the Jeep badge on it, and I'm thinking to myself, obviously gets rid of the old model, ready for the new one, because but why have they never done that before? They make a Dodge Durango, just
No, it's weird.
Put a Jeep badge on one and sell it for a different price point, and they've only just started doing it and whatever. But I don't know. That new one doesn't look like a Jeep anymore.
No, it's lost something.
If you take that Jeep badge off, to me, that looks like a Chinese car.
Okay, here's another one. You remember Ford got rid of the one vehicle that I truly loved,
The Figo.
Oh no, that's gone too. But
don't say the Flex.
That's the one. I love the Flex. Guess who's making the Flex? Kia.
Kia are making a Flex.
Have you seen the new Carnivals? It's a Flex. The Kia Carnival, the new version, is a Flex.
Let me have a look here.
Look at it from the back. It's a Flex. The new Kia Carnival's a Flex. I'm pretty sure it was a Kia Carnival. I saw it yesterday. Almost died. Partially because I was too close to it as well. I think it looks like a Ford Flex from the back. You got
right.
It? I should have put the link in.
It's all right. I've got it now.
Live podcasting here. Well planned.
I liked the Kia Carnival. You're going to upset me if it does.
No, I think it. Yeah. Did I get the right vehicle? No, maybe not. The new one. Brand new.
Yeah, I'm on the... No, I don't know. I don't...
Okay, maybe I got the wrong vehicle then. I was pretty sure it was a Carnival I was looking at yesterday.
Hang on a minute.
So brand new Carnival. It's kind of more squat, kind of more squished in.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, I see it.
Does it look like
Thankfully, it's not as boxy and
but it's getting
as
close.
The Flex.
It's getting close.
Yeah.
I mean,
they've obviously seen a gap in the market, James.
Yeah, that's it. They're saying, James really liked it. Maybe he'll buy one. And the unfortunate side with Kia is,
the unfortunate thing is you're not going to buy one. So they've wasted all the time.
That's what yeah. I met someone the other day, actually, and she said, hey, I've been listening to your podcast for years. And when you were on the radio, and she goes, I can tell you right now, why do you even go bother looking at other cars? Because you're never going to buy one. I go, okay, well, you've listened long enough to know. It's like, see, the unfortunate side is the one vehicle I would have actually probably bought, Kia Stinger. It's gone.
I know.
They canceled them. No more Stingers. That was a 3.2?
3.3, I think.
3.3. Twin turbo.
Yeah.
And again, Mr. Shazad Sheikh, brown car guy, said that vehicle was I think a 3 Series BMW Mercedes. That's where it fit in for like a fraction of the price, but gave you the same performance. And inside, it felt like a Beamer.
See, I would take the interior of any Kia or Hyundai over any BMW.
Yeah. Or
BMW
Mercedes. It had those big seats
20 years ago.
But it had the badge Kia, and that's the problem. They didn't sell them because people are driving it and they're going, this is great, but it's a Kia. And so couldn't do it.
Shame.
I know, exactly. Total.
Real shame. But it's, it's so creatures of habit. And,
So the Stinger's gone. So if you really wanted one, now's the time to get something on the used market.
Or if you've got one, keep hold of it.
Yeah, keep hold of it.
Something.
Yeah, someone's going to look at that later on and go.
Yeah.
And if you really, really wanted a Ford Flex, which they don't make anymore, Kia Carnival.
Don't buy a Kia Carnival hoping it to be a Ford Flex. Ford Flex is one of the worst appointed cars they've ever made.
Hey. I loved the Ford Flex. I drove one for a summer. For a summer, I drove one. It was a phenomenal vehicle.
The inside,
even the Royal Canadian Mounted Police were admiring it when they pulled me over.
That was them thinking, we could get a horse in that, and we could drive around and still say we're taking the horse out.
Well, they did say, "Whoa, boy!"
Yeah.
Didn't you see the sign back there?
There's something wrong with those.
I didn't see the sign. That's because you were going too fast when you passed it.
No, it's because I'm driving around in a box and there's no visibility. I'll tell you another thing that's annoying about the ID6.
Yeah, good to take us back. So hold on. We went from the annoying to, hey, this is what I really love, to, I got one more annoying thing.
It just came to me then.
Yeah, so it's like a, it's like you've had a bad burrito and it's just, one more thing.
It's got the augmented reality display. The heads-up display, by the way, is very good.
Okay. Augmented reality display. What you put
So you get like a sort of an 80s computer graphic of it's very, very smooth and well done and not pixelated, but it's in that style of what's in front of you on the road. Yeah, and a line comes up to say keep your distance and everything.
Oh, okay, else. like kind of like Tron.
But there we go. It's got adaptive cruise control, so you set the distance, and no matter what your speed, it will keep up with the car in front. Follows the white lights, although that's actually not as good. The lane assist,
really,
the lane assist is not as good as on the internal combustion one. So on the internal combustion one, on the lane assist,
same technology.
On the lane assist on the internal combustion, it doesn't let you cross the line.
Right.
On this one, it crosses
the line.
Maybe
there's a setting.
Goes no, I don't know because I can't get into it. Yeah. Goes yellow, warns you, and bings and comes on the dashboard, and then takes you back into the middle. But it doesn't take you back into the middle. Okay. And then straighten you up again. So then you end up doing this until it tells you to hold the steering wheel.
So what if you took the car over to the GAC guys, the Chinese guys, and said, can you help me set this thing up?
You see, the reason they've done it is to stop people relying on it.
Oh, right, okay. And that's good
because you can drive those older ones, the first gen with them, and you can literally let go of the wheel. Yeah. And there's people will buy...
Joey Woo-Woo.
Well, you can buy a Velcro.
How do you think he makes all those videos?
Well, no, exactly, yeah. But you can Velcro around the steering wheel a little...
Yeah.
500-gram weight that puts a steering effort on the wheel, so it thinks you've got hold of the wheel and it will just drive itself.
Oh man, you see, that's just
so wrong. Obviously they've gone the other way. So anyway,
good.
That is what it is. That's not the annoying part of it. Although that's a backward step in my opinion, but for understandable reasons. Yeah. The annoying part is it's got this system on for detecting signs, road signs.
Really?
For speed.
Okay.
So you're driving down the road. you're doing 65, and it's gone bing.
Yeah.
Speed exceeded. What?
How's that possible?
But it knows the speed you're on the road. So
Right.
even to the point where obviously it's not working off navigation because the nav doesn't work because it's not local car.
Yeah.
And I can't log in with my Android phone. So it's not working because I'm not connected. But it's picking up the road signs.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't see one, so you're driving on an 80 and you get onto the highway that's 110.
Yeah.
It doesn't see the 110.
So it's bing, bing,
So
bing,
then at
bing,
80,
bing, bing.
every time you speed up and slow down in traffic, it's binging at you saying that you've gone over the speed. Now, it only does it once and brings the message up, but it's really, really frustrating. Really frustrating.
And you can't turn it off.
No, because I know that the speed is 110.
Yeah.
And you can't turn it off. You can't turn it off. I got excited yesterday because it came up on the dash saying road sign, speed limit recognition function limited. And I was like, yes,
finally,
something's over the camera. It's dirty or whatever. I'll just let it stay dirty. But then it binged at me literally straight away as if say,
fixed itself.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a good function.
That's a great function, but that's a technological issue. If you're not on nav, because at least if it was on nav, it would get all the ratings off of nav.
Yeah.
But now it's looking physically for signs. So until it sees the next sign, it's working on the assumption that the speed is lower.
Yeah.
So you then got to go bing, 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 and you can't drive with earplugs all the time.
No,
it's horrible.
But
okay,
that's just one little thing more.
That's the little things.
No,
it
is.
Yeah. That could be the one little thing that drops you over the edge. Say, you know what? I can't drive this car.
No, I'm sure you could turn that off if I could get into the settings.
And this is the issue here where we've got these vehicles being imported. Mm. You can't get into anything. Maybe if you took it back to the dude who's rented it to you, he could help you turn it off.
No. My personal experience with this tells me that VW, Mercedes, all the big boys haven't brought their EVs here yet.
Yeah.
Officially, I've made the right decision.
Yeah. There we go.
Temperature is not great for them. And we're in November and it's only 30 degrees in the daytime, 32, 33.
Yeah.
And the temperature of those midday heat is no good for the battery. And today's going to be a good test because I've got to get the kids from school at midday.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait to see those videos.
So we'll see what happens with the range on it.
On that note, you know what time it is? It's time to say we'll do it all again real soon. Glenn Power, PowerWorks Automotive. This is the PowerWorks podcast. My name's James Piecowye. We're coming to you from the PowerWorks garage. Going to do it again real soon. You're going to want to follow up on this because we will have round 2 of the ID6 review from Glenn Power. So long for now. Talk to you again soon.